I don't want to brag, and I don't want to make you feel bad, but here's the thing. I have the best job in the world. I work for the Xprize, and we make the impossible possible. Our mission is to use incentive competitions to create radical breakthroughs for the benefit of humanity. It's pretty cool, right? To understand who we are, it helps to understand how we got here. In 1919, a hotel operator named Raymond Ortigue put up $25,000 as a prize for the first people who could fly across the Atlantic, New York to Paris, Paris to New York. He didn't care which direction it was. He was an aviation buff, and he just wanted to open up the field of aviation to the general public. Well, this prize inspired a lot of people. And unfortunately, 6 people died trying to win this prize in 3 separate crashes. These were the most famous pilots of their day, World War I aces. They were flying the best planes of their day, costing $100,000 apiece. And then, out of nowhere, this 20-something from the middle of America raises his hand and says, "That seems like a good idea. I want to try that." And they called him the Flying Fool. He was a male pilot. He had never even flown over water before. And yet, he had a vision of how he was going to do this, him and his $18,000. It was minimalist. Rather than 3 engines, he had 1. Rather than a co-pilot, he had none. He had no radio, no sextant, no parachute. He was all in for this mission. He cut the edges off of his maps to save weight. And 33 and a half hours after he left New York, Charles Lindbergh touched down outside of Paris. He was greeted by 150,000 people who pulled him from his plane and carried him up on their shoulders like a conquering hero. And he was a hero. He won the $25,000 purse. But the more important thing is, we all won the prize. Because within 18 months of Lindbergh's famous flight, we now had 3 times as many pilots carrying 4 times as many passengers. 3 times as many pilots flying 4 times as many airplanes, carrying 30 times as many passengers. He had truly broken open commercial aviation. Now fast forward to the end of the 20th century. A man named Greg Marinac gives his buddy Peter Diamandis a book. It's called The Spirit of St. Louis. That's the name of Lindbergh's plane, and it tells the story of Lindbergh and the Ortigue Prize. Diamandis is a space geek the way Ortigue was an airplane geek, and he wants to open up the field of space. And reading this book, he gets the bright idea of a prize to open space. He announces the $10 million Ansari Xprize for the first team that can take a payload equivalent of 3 people, 100 kilometers into space, return them back down to Earth, and do it again within 2 weeks. On October 4th, 2004, Burt Rutan and his Scaled Composites team did exactly that, touching down in the Mojave Desert and winning the $10 million purse. Once again, we all won the prize because there were 26 teams from around the world competing for this prize, and they spent $100 million trying to win it. And in winning it, Burt Rutan opened up a $2 billion commercial space industry, anchored by companies like SpaceX and Virgin Galactic. And now, that ship, Spaceship One, hangs in the Smithsonian Institute, the American National Museum, right next to the Spirit of St. Louis. Tangible reminders of the power of prizes to generate radical breakthroughs. Now, Xprize certainly hasn't been quiet since then. We've awarded $25 million worth of prizes in the fields of space, automotive design, environmental cleanup, and biological sensing. And there's a lot more to come. We have an exciting plate of stuff going on right now. The first challenge we're trying to overcome is how to expand the field of endeavor of humans out deeper into space. Our response to this challenge is the $30 million Google Lunar Xprize. This prize will be awarded to the first team that can land a rover on the surface of the moon, have it travel 500 meters, and send back high-definition film and images. Another challenge we're trying to overcome is closer to home. Our oceans need our help. They are dying. And in order to help them, we have to understand exactly what's going on. Our response to this challenge is the Wendy Schmidt Ocean Health Xprize. $2 million to the teams that can come up with the best in the next generation of ocean acidification sensors. Some challenges are more personal. We've made tremendous strides in medicine and healthcare, but we still have tremendous challenges around delivery and affordability and reliability and access. So our response to these challenges is the $10 million Qualcomm Tricorder Xprize, to be awarded to the team that can build a device that sits in the palm of your hand, captures all of your key medical data, and can diagnose instantly and accurately 15 different disease states. In order to run tricorders and other medical devices of the near future, we need better biological sensors. So our response to this challenge is the $2.25 million Nokia Sensing X Challenge, to be awarded to the team that can come up with the very best in the next generation of biological sensing. And we're not going to stop there. We have 1 million grand challenges to overcome, as you all know, and we're open to lots of new ideas. There are hundreds of millions of children around the world without access to effective education. What if you could teach them to read where there were no schools? We humans put 10 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere every single year. What if we could repurpose that carbon? What if we could turn it from a liability into an asset? Tens of millions of us are mobility challenged. We're stuck in wheelchairs or walkers. What if every single one of us could walk and jump and run? At Xprize, we have a saying that the day before something is a true breakthrough, it's a crazy idea. And our job is to find those crazy ideas, to give them a playing field in order to test themselves, in order to see which ones are crazy ideas and which ones just might be breakthroughs. Let me illustrate this with a case study. On April 20th, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon oil rig exploded and killed 11 people, sank to the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico. For 87 days, we all watched as 5 million barrels of oil gushed from the bottom of the earth, polluting the Gulf. We learned a few lessons during this time. And one of them was that the state of the oil cleanup industry had not changed in 30 years. And in fact, they were literally using the same exact equipment to clean up that spill as they had used to clean up the Exxon Valdez spill in 1989. So our response to this challenge was the Wendy Schmidt Oil Cleanup X Challenge, to be awarded to the team that could do at least twice as good as the industry best at that time. People said that was nuts. You can't just overnight get twice as good at something. Maybe 20% better, maybe 25% better as a stretch. But our response is that we're not looking for incremental improvement. We're looking for radical breakthroughs. And by setting the bar high, by defining a grand challenge, we were able to inspire people to come at this problem who never really would have addressed it before, people from outside of the industry. This is Team Vortec. A man named Ashley Day, an ex-professional basketball player, turned entrepreneur, used to get tattoos from another one of the team members, Fred Giovannitti. They were talking about the oil spill, they were talking about the Xprize, and one thing led to another, and Day's ideas turned to Giovannitti's sketches, turned into a working prototype. They tested this prototype in Day's backyard swimming pool, which I'm sure pleased his wife and kids to no end. Team PPR. Kevin Kennedy is a fisherman from Alaska. He sketched out his response to this disaster on the back of a bar napkin, said, "This is how I think it should work." He convinced his friends and family to help him build his design. And as a fisherman, he thought, I use a net to catch fish. Why not use a net to catch oil? I have this giant pump to pump fish out of my net and into my boat. Why not modify my giant pump to pump oil out of my net and into my boat? Both of these innovators, both of these heroes cleared the bar. They both more than doubled the industry best for oil cleanup recovery. The winning team, Team Elastec, quadrupled the industry best. And they've continued to go on and improve and refine their technology, and now they are at 8 times the oil cleanup rate that we had just 4 years ago. That is a radical breakthrough and a demonstration of the power of prizes. My job is to support these folks, to support the people like Ashley Day and Gio Veniti and Kennedy, people who are willing to take on the grand challenge of protecting our oceans. People like Oliver Kutner, a real estate developer from Charlottesville, Virginia, who is willing to take on the grand challenge of protecting our environment by creating a more fuel-efficient car. He had a vision for something that he called a very light car. And he was able to pull together a team, build this car from the ground up. Every nut and bolt was completely fabricated in his workshop. And in the end, he and his team created a car that got 102 miles per gallon equivalent and won $5 million purse in the Progressive Insurance Automotive Xprize. So we've got an ex-basketball player turned entrepreneur teaming up with a tattoo artist. We've got a fisherman working with his family. We've got a real estate developer with a vision of how to beat Detroit. What do these folks have in common? Not much. The thing they have in common is that rather than being bystanders to history, rather than just sitting there and letting these grand challenges just happen, they chose to be upstanders and make history. They chose to be part of something bigger than themselves, to go all in the way Lindbergh did, and to try their best to take their own unique talents to a difficult situation. I'm asking you today to do the same thing. I'm asking you to join us in the Xprize. Bring your unique talents to our grand challenges. There are a number of ways you can do this. Support our team. Support these heroes. Give them your blood, your treasure, your time, your resources. Give them your attention. Follow them on Twitter, for Christ's sake. But do something. These guys are out there all day, every day, giving it their all so that we can all win the prize. Be a hero yourself. Start or join a team. Find an Xprize that inspires you and step up and join or start a team. I know it's daunting. You look at these prizes and you think there's no way that I can do that. Well, you're right. You can't. No one person can win an Xprize. But no Xprize can be won without the efforts of people like you. Lastly, inspire us. Inspire the world. Tell us about the grand challenges you see. Tell us about the what-if vision you have for the future. Give us a target to shoot for, a bar to clear. Help us define the next generation of Xprizes. Competition ignites us. It inspires us to do better than we ever could on our own. It lifts us up to new heights, no matter the field, whether we're at the heights of space or the depths of the ocean or the mysteries of the human mind. I hear the same refrain again and again from every team competing in the Xprize. We do not pursue the prize because of the purse. We pursue the purse because of the prize. I ask you, what do you prize?